What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Nothing Personal. It's just Buffalo. Unfortunately, this is going to be the last episode of the 2024-2025 season, as our Buffalo Bills have been eliminated by the Kansas City Chiefs once again, this time in a different fashion, but same result, 32-29. I believe this is the fourth time they eliminate us in the playoffs in the last 5 years. And we got a pretty good show lined up for you guys. I'll be joined by my co-host James Mallory in a minute. Tonight we'll talk about, obviously, the Bills not getting it done versus the Kansas City Chiefs once again. We'll talk about the offense. Did they do enough to, obviously, rhetorical question, did they do enough to win the game? Obviously, we left a little couple points on the board. We'll talk about Dalton Kincaid's late drop, and that there was a report that came out that Dalton Kincaid played through a torn PCL this season. We're going to question if that was even a good idea by the staff and themselves to play through that. The Xavier Worthy comparisons are going to come up now to Keon Coleman. Obviously, he made some comments after the game saying that they passed on me and that's their mistake or whatever the case may be. Obviously, he had a game of six catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. So we'll compare and contrast those two guys tonight. And Sean McDermott, obviously we're going to talk about the old ball coach here. He says, once again, the team will figure it out. We're going to talk about the confidence level in Sean McDermott. And we absolutely cannot forget to talk about the game being marred by bad officiating. Or if you feel that the game was marred by bad officiating. Obviously, a couple controversial calls that we'll talk about. But yeah, let's get right into it, man. Chiefs once again eliminate the Buffalo Bills, winning 32-29, in a game that I would say was as evenly as matched as you could get. You talk about time of possession, you talk about the yards from the quarterbacks, you talking about the lack of turnover for both teams mostly. The Bills not having any turnovers, rush out everything, right there, right next to each other. Two elite teams going at it, and obviously the team that has been coming off top, came out on top again. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, man. That's what this game boils down to. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, once again, leaving the Bills Mafia heartbroken. And I would say for me, this one particularly stings the most for the simple fact that out of all seasons, right? Out of all seasons, I said this on last week's show. Out of all seasons, I felt like this particular season was the year that I felt like, okay, the Bills should go into this game and they should win this game. I thought that they built the defense to stop them, and obviously we lost Christian Benford early, and we'll talk about Kaiir Elam tonight, and honestly, I'll just be completely honest with you, that should be Kaiir Elam's last game in a Buffalo Bills uniform. I said it should have been his last game at the deadline. I even hinted at in the offseason that he should not even enter this season in a Buffalo Bills uniform. You should have traded him for what you could have got for him, whatever it was, maybe a 5th-round pick. And now, after that performance, you're probably not going to get jack shit from him, excuse my language. But, I thought that this was particularly the game that the Bills were going to go in there and finally get this job done. You added Amari Cooper. You added Curtis Samuel. James Cook was playing at an all-pro level as far as the running back situation goes. 2 tight ends, offensive line, top 3 offensive line in the league. It's a situation where just like, this is a game that the Bills should have won. Defense was built to stop this KC offense. This was a KC offense that was, as I thought it was older. I thought that, and look at the snaps with DeAndre Hopkins in this game. Everybody's worried about when the Chiefs traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Never worried me. Played 12 snaps in this football game. As I said a couple weeks ago, would the addition of Isaiah Pacheco and Marquise Brown be a problem? Did Marquise Brown necessarily impact this game heavily as far as yards and stats? No. But he did exactly what I said he would do a couple weeks ago. He would open it up for Xavier Worthy. Mm-hmm. because what you had to guard for Xavier Worthy in the first game would not have Marquise Brown is you couldn't cover both of them. And what you do, you keep letting Xavier Worthy cross underneath, going across the field. Marquise Brown opened that up. He opened up everything underneath for him. Schuster, Juju, I call him, yeah, Schuster Smith. Two receptions of 30 yards each, just about. Why? Because he opened it up. Um, but yeah, we got a lot of things to talk about. James, welcome to the show, man.
Yes, sir.
Just recapping a little bit on the game, and yeah, man, it's a tough pill to swallow. I thought that I thought that this was a game that the Bills were going to win. What's your thoughts on it?
Man, it was first and foremost, as a football guy, that was a great football game, right?
Right.
And
Agree with that.
stepping outside of my Bills fan emotion, right? It was really a great football game. When you look at it, it was a game of chess. Those guys really got after it, man, and there was some great coaching on both sides. It was great playing execution on both sides, right? But when you come to games like that, it reminds me so much of the Patriots and the Colts with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, right? Where you really every move matters. Like you can go back to like so many different plays in the game. That one play could have made a difference, right? And it's really like a thin line between wins and losses in these type of matchups. These guys, man, they fought, man, and you know what? I'm really like when I stepped back and looked at it, we just lost. Um, and it could have went the same way for the Chiefs as well. They could have just lost, and it would have just been that, right? Um, I see people talking about officiating. I see people talking about certain things. Um, I think that could have been the Super Bowl, right? Like that probably would be the most entertaining Super Bowl of any two teams in the NFL. You could take any two teams you want. Obviously, it wouldn't happen. We're both in the AFC, but that would be the Super Bowl. I don't even think the Super Bowl is going to be that entertaining. That game right there probably was better than what the Super Bowl is going to be. I'm just being real with you, right? Um, but yeah, just when we look at that, man, and how we lost again, um, you know, I looked at certain things and I talked to a couple people. Certain things where people thought Kyrie Elam played bad, he didn't. He was actually playing the coverage that he was coached on. I can get into more than that if people really want to. I made some calls today to see about a few things. So people who said Elam played bad, they actually were really wrong. The coverage that he was supposed to be playing off. He was supposed to be playing cushion, right? They were giving that up. They were allowing it. So it's certain things that we discussed where they said, no, Elam didn't. He did what he was supposed to do, right? And then when you got somebody like Worthy in a phone booth, right, and he goes to try to shake you, he gets no yak. He catches that, but he don't really get any yak. Most people he can bop them. He'd turn that 8 yard route into a 50 yard big play. So it's a lot of things when you get out of your emotions and understand, um, what was happening, what were they trying to attack. I think we'll understand it. Not saying he played great. Not making an excuse for him, right? But at the same time, there was things that went into it, and um, it came down to we're gonna talk about some more of it. I don't want to give it all away, JT, and rant too much, but at the end of the day, we just lost. I can't say it's one guy or somebody that stunk it up. I don't think anybody stunk it up at all. I just think we lost. Period. It's just that's how the cookie crumbles.
I mean, I guess we'll hop right into it. Where do I want to start here? Uh, I guess we'll just start on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Obviously, I didn't think this was a game where the Bills were gonna, necessarily just shut down the Kansas City Chief offense. I mean, that's easier said than done. And I alluded to the fact a couple weeks ago that adding Marquise Brown and Isaiah Pacheco, although Pacheco didn't do much in this game, I said that last week, he hasn't been doing much since he came back. He's obviously, I don't think he's fully healthy from that broken leg. Uh, that this would be a tough game with Marquise Brown being there. And that Worthy would be a benefactor from it. And that's exactly what happened. D Dot, if you want to join the show, I'll see you in the chat. But by all means, you can click the same link from last week, and that should work to get you in the room. Um, by saying that, I'll just say that our secondary needs some work. Um, I agree. I forgot who. Let me see who said it in the chat earlier. Kebby on YouTube. Thanks, Kebby. You're always with us anyway. Normally, as far as I'm concerned, we can let Douglas, Hamlin, and Elam walk. Hamlin's a great story, but that ain't gonna get us wins. Douglas gave up chunk yards. Elam was completely awful. So this is the parts that I agree with. I'm not sure about letting Rasul Douglas walk yet. I actually suggested before this season that for this particular season, he should have been the one that should have been moved to free safety. It was
Yep,
something
you
that the
were
Green
saying that.
Bay Packers. It was something that the Green Bay Packers were thinking about doing when he was there. When they obviously had a surplus of corners, and they went to the season before they traded him to us last year. And I think the position he can play and the way he plays attacking the football, he'd probably be a pretty solid free safety just because he attacks football. As far as Damar Hamlin goes, like you said, Damar Hamlin, great story. I agree with you. Um, I don't think he's a borderline starting safety in this league, depending on what team you're on. I think he's probably more starting safety on a team that's rebuilding or on the fringe of making the playoff or being a playoff team, and not necessarily a starting safety on a championship contender. I don't think we lost any games because of him. But like I said before, I think you can go to a Super Bowl with a bad safety core. I don't think the Chiefs safety core is that good. I don't think Justin Reed and Brian Cook are that good at all, to be honest with you. They're just hella athletic, but I don't think they're good. They're great as a tandem. Um, but the things that he lacks in, reading, reacting, obviously we saw the coverage in the game. He can't cover a soul. He can't cover a soul. I don't care if Lee Smith was on the damn football field. I don't think Damar Hamlin could cover him. No, I'm serious, and that's how bad he is in coverage. And I mean, forgive me, and I'm not blaming him, but he's slow to react. He doesn't hit hard. As Kevin said, yes, he takes bad angles, and once again I'm going to repeat what I said earlier in the season. Depending on who he's playing against and who's running at him, depends on it sometimes decides which angle he's going to take. If it's somebody that's going to hurt tackling, he may not take the right angle. And I've seen it multiple times. There's a lot of video proof out there. Okay? But the second time we played Derrick Henry, I will say that he put that guardian cap on and he came to play. That was probably the best game I see him play in the Buffalo Bills uniform.
It is,
But
in my opinion.
But I would just say, yeah, I agree. Damar Hamlin does not need to be back in the Bills uniform. I said before the season at the trade deadline, Kyer Elam should no longer be in the Bills uniform. There was a move that could have been made to replace him in season. And I know you don't necessarily want to replace guys, but this is a guy that we left inactive for the majority of the season because A, you felt like he couldn't help us in coverage, and B, he damn sure couldn't help us in special teams. So now you probably had a chance to get a conditional fifth round pick for him, and now you're going to get nothing. You're probably going to get a seventh round pick you're probably going to get a seventh round pick at best. And as far as Rasul Douglas, like I said, I'm up and down on Rasul Douglas. I'm actually okay if Rasul Douglas did come back on like a even a 1 or 2 year deal, and you still drafted someone high because it can't hurt you having a guy like that. But I don't think that should be your plan going to 2025, 2026 season. Jay, might get anything to add on that as far as the secondary goes? Cole Bishop, though. Wait a minute. Before shout out to Cole Bishop.
Yeah.
I think in these last couple of games you saw that you got something going into next season with Cole Bishop, especially at the strong safety position.
Yeah. I like. I'll start out with Cole Bishop because you ended on that. That dude can play. I like Cole Bishop. Um, Excited about that. About what I seen from him. When he get a lot more confidence and more reps next year, is I think he's going to be a very good football player for us. Um, I'll start out with Hamlin. I never was a guy that felt Hamlin was going to be our long term starter. So us letting him walk isn't something that I'm like shocked about because I just never. I've been saying it for the longest. He's a solid football player. He's an average football player. If you grade players from a scale, like you were in school here, he's a solid C all the way across the board. He's a solid football player. You can win game. You can like once again, you can win games with him as a starter. Not saying he's not a starter. You can definitely win games with him as your starting safety, but he's not going to be that difference maker. You know what I mean? He's going to be a gap filler. You know what I'm saying? He's that's what he is. Rasul Douglas, depending on the price tag, I think you may want to go with new blood there, um, and be able to put a opposite side of Christian Benford. Um, I think that. Um, I don't see him as a safety. I don't know how much I would trust him with tackling in space. Not saying he can't do it. I just haven't seen it enough to be able to make that type of opinion. Just playing at that level, I don't think people realize how important it is for people to tackle in space. When people think about safeties, they think about 90% coverage. But you got to think about guys that can make tackles in space because that's what the most important thing is making those tackles in space. I don't know. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he can. I don't know. We'll be open to trying it, but I don't know. I think it may be time to kind of let him walk. Just get new blood back there. Kyer Elam, I just see somebody put in there. I definitely do. Um, I think he's a guy you got to let play. I think people get a little bit too emotional when they look at that. He's the type of dude I think you're going to have to let play, and you're going to have to live with the mistakes until he kind of figure it out. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think not, I wouldn't be mad with it. This is what I would do if I was the Bills. I would keep Kyer Elam because if you I'm not trading him for a seventh round pick. I would keep Kyer Elam. I would draft a guy, and then they're going to sign a veteran too. Whether it be a middle of the pack type of, they're going to sign a veteran. But I definitely would draft a corner high. I would keep him for now. I wouldn't just get rid of him for a seventh round pick. I think that's stupid. In my opinion. You if it's going to be that, if it's a fifth round pick, you get a fifth round pick for him. If that was the case, I would say make the move if you just feel he's not the guy. But a lot of it, with being a former pro athlete, a lot of it has to do with your confidence too. If your confidence start lacking, you're gonna play like crap. I mean, it's any of us in our jobs. If your confidence is lacking in your job, your performance is going to suffer, and I think that's what he's going through right now. I guarantee you, it's going to come out. He's going to do an interview sometime, maybe after his career. He's going to say that he just lost his confidence in Buffalo, and with our new cornerback coach, you know, well, I just don't. I would not be mad if we rolled out Kyer Elam and Benford next year. But I would have a first round or second round corner or a veteran, whatever the case may be. If he does fail, yank it and do what you did this year. And what would it hurt to have him inactive for most of the games this year? And he can spot duty start for you in an injury situation. I just don't think um, you give up on him. That's me personally.
All right. So I mean, for me, the Kyrie Irving experience is done. I'm over it. I'm done.
It never
It's
was
to
an
the
experience. He never played enough for it to be an
right, but he
experience.
but obviously he didn't play, and we couldn't get the experience of playing because they didn't see the experience, they didn't see him play in the in practice. So
I disagree. I
whatever
disagree
he
because if that's the case, well, you trade for Douglas, right? Douglas balled, and Benford is about to get paid. So it's
right,
not like but we had a bum opposite of him. We got that conversation if it was a bum
but the
opposite
thing
of him.
is, you traded for Douglas because he couldn't play. They
Yes,
refused for
and
whatever reason they would not play him.
but don't forget he was hurt. We can't
That's
forget
what
that part.
that's
He,
what they said.
but
They
we going
said he
by what
was
they
hurt.
say then. We can't assume either way. They're saying he hurt. We got to take him for that. We can't say that he wasn't either.
They said he was
Okay?
hurt, but then
Yeah,
again, he
so
came.
we're going by based
Okay,
off of what they're
but he
saying and who
came
we
in this year.
reported.
He was in competition with Jamarcus Ingram. He wasn't even in competition with the starters.
Okay, but check this out. Who started when Benford was out or any of them corners was out?
Jamarcus Ingram started the first time, and
But
then
who
Kyrie
started the
Elam
games? Who
started.
started most of the games?
Jamarcus Ingram started the first game after they were out,
But okay,
and then Kyrie started. They both did. The answer is they
uh,
both did.
but no, let's get this. Who started more games, Elam or Ingram?
How many games were they out? They was only out like 2 games.
No. Elam got about 3 starts this year because Benford missed one. If you look that up, Benford missed one, and I believe Christian and Rasul Douglas missed one or two. Look
'Cause
that up.
I know Ingram got the first start when they were out. I do
I
know
don't
that.
honestly, to be honest with you, I do not remember Ingram getting the start. I don't.
Let me just check and see. I swear I
I,
remember he got the first
I
start.
don't remember Ingram getting the
Not
start at
unless
all.
they both played.
They both could have played. I don't remember Ingram getting the start at all.
Or Kyrie got 4 starts this year.
Exactly.
Let me see what Ingram got. I don't know what. Let me see what Ingram got. I mean, I know Ingram played significantly too, but I thought he
He
started.
definitely played a lot that one game. He got a pick or two.
He got
He had a
picking the
pick or
fumble
two.
or whatever it was. Yeah,
He had two turnovers.
Ingram got 1 start this year. So like I
Okay.
said, I know he started. I felt like he started. I felt like he started the first game after the first injury, whichever one that was.
Hold on. Was it the situation where was it the game where they both? Was it a
They
game
they
where
bo- they may have both started.
no, they both started because remember we were missing Taron Johnson. We was missing a corner, another corner, and it was a safety. And Cam Lewis started
Well,
as well.
Terran missed the first 3 4 games, but Cam Lewis started in his place for Tehran.
But no, it was. But don't
Except
forget. No, don't forget. It was a safety hurt. It was a safety. I was out. Was it Rap? It might have been Rap out.
it's probably Rap because Hamlin ain't missed no time. Well,
Yeah, it
he
was
may
Rap.
miss
It
one
was.
game,
It was.
too.
But Elam. But once again, but my thing with Elam in regards to him, they're going to draft a corner. They're going to sign a corner, right? Whatever they're going to do with him, they're going to do with him. I'm just saying how I feel about it. He's already on the books. You've drafted him in the first round. If you're not going to get, I'm not just going to give him away. If anything, I'm gonna keep him because
But that's his price tag. That's his value.
yeah,
It's
and exactly, and I respect that's his value, and I'm not trading him for that value.
then
He
you
gives you better than seventh round production when he
but
plays.
let me ask you this question: what happens if you go to camp and he's still struggling? Then now you've signed a corner, you drafted a corner. Now you're gonna end up cutting him.
You won't cut him. He'll be inactive like he is now.
You can't hold the roster spot up for that again, man. I'm sorry. Like that's just to me that's
But you
just
got
bad
to
management.
to me, Ingram will not be on this roster next year on the opening day roster. Ingram won't be on this roster. Benford won't be on this roster, right? So those
No,
are
Benford will be
two,
here.
or not Benford, Douglas. I'm sorry,
Right.
Douglas. Rasul Douglas and Ingram will not be on this roster
But that's
next
the
year.
thing. If you draft a corner and you sign a corner, you've already placed those two.
But if you sign one, I'm talking a middle of the pack guy, right? When every year we sign that middle of the pack free agent guy. He don't necessarily have to make the roster, right? I think you keep him. That's just my opinion. Nobody's going to change that for me.
Yeah, I hear
You
you,
don't just let.
I guess my point is, at what point do you say, we talk about confidence, we need to change the scenery, and so does he? At what point do you think about Kyrie and say, listen, it's not going to work here? I'm to the point where I believe, I'm not saying he can't play in NFL. I'm saying he can't play in Buffalo. Whatever has
And you
happened here,
and I'm not saying you. If you heard what I said, the whole thing about confidence, everything, I'm agreeing with you. But my problem is I'm not cutting him and I'm not trading him for a seventh round pick, which is you saying is his value. I respect that. I'll rather have that guy on my roster in case of an emergency and he call it holding up a roster spot, whatever you want. I'll rather have that and then remove that return guy and then go draft somebody to return corner that's taking up a freaking roster spot who we couldn't even play in the playoffs. He did have a strong season. I'm feeling that with a Elam. That's me personally.
right? Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm over it. I'm moving him. If it's a 7th round pick, whatever, I'm moving him. I'm off of it.
He
I
gives you
hope.
better than seventh round production though, and you'll get
What round?
more.
What round was Christian Benford drafted in though?
Christian Benford is drafted in the sixth round.
Right. We don't. We you. That's not a guarantee. We never know who that draft. Be honest with you, we never know who those draft picks may turn out to be.
You never do. You never do. I totally get it. The Bills draft good late.
Especially late.
I'm the first person that said Christian Benford was better than Elam. It was the day after the draft was over. We came on the show and I told y'all Christian Benford is the better corner. Period. Did I not?
Wait. I mean, plus Buffalo's never going to play the defense that he excels in. Let's just be. That's
No,
the one reason
no,
they're never
no,
going to play. They're never going to play the defense that he's best in. He's best
no.
in a very in your face press coverage defense. That's where he belongs. He wasn't ever even a draft pick for the Buffalo Bills. And he was never drafted for the Buffalo. It's like, once again, you're putting a round peg in a square hole. He doesn't fit here. And honestly, now you're just killing his career. So at some point, you have to do what's best for the player too, because like I said, you have relationships with the agents, you have relationship with these trainers, you have relationship with these people. Honestly, if I'm Kyrie Irving, and I said it before, I come from an NFL family. I had my father was in the NFL, my uncle was in the NFL. I'm requesting a trade anyway. I'm going into my 4th year. You're not picking up my 15-year option. I don't want to be here anyway anymore. If I'm not starting, I don't want to be here. What am I going to stay here for?
Yeah, that's ours. We don't know what's in his mind.
Well, I mean, if he has any common sense. I mean, come on, this is business 101. You're playing with a team that has no confidence in you.
It's obvious. It's obvious. Well, I ain't gonna say it's obvious. We are all going to assume if you're a professional athlete, you want to be on the field. That's anybody, right?
Right.
Besides some of these backup quarterback dudes who don't want to get hit, they just want to hold the clipboard.
Right. That's a better payday. That's a great payday.
Yeah. So other than that, I like I said, instead of just giving them away, that's just my opinion. I would keep them. Now it'd be different if you go spend big money at corner, which we both. Oh, like I said, we both. I highly doubt they will. Or if you go first round corner, then at that point in time, the conversation changes for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you first round, if you want to go first round, even second round corner, then on that you have 2 days for the draft to trade him to somewhere that he's going to excel at, or get him for another bus player.
Yeah,
I'm not going to call him bus, but swap.
Yeah, it just for me, I'll rather put it like this: all the emotional ass Bills fans who wanted to trade him by the trade deadline. If we wouldn't have had him, we would have played Jamarcus Ingram, who couldn't even beat him out to start in the last game we just played.
But how do you know? But that's the thing, though. If you would have traded him, you would have had to replace him in general. So we don't know. We don't know if it would have been somebody else there. Because Jamarcus Ingram was really a backup for the nickel spot. When you took Cam Lewis to move him to safety.
Yeah, true. He was like that Swiss Army knife. He was that Swiss Army knife.
He was Cam Lewis from last year, basically. Before
that Swiss Army knife. I like Ingram. I just don't think he'll be on the roster next year. I think they're going to upgrade all the way. I think that secondary is going to complete. The only person that's at the cornerback position that's probably going to be in that room, in my opinion, besides Taron Johnson, we know that. But outside boundary corner, the only one that's going to be there is Benford. Everybody else is going to be gone. I would like to keep Elam. Nobody's going to change my mind because I do see a skill set there. But it's tough for him.
Yeah, but I'm not going to spend all night on Elam. We'll talk about it more in the offseason. But going back to the defense, I thinking about the defense in general. The defensive line didn't give us much of anything, and I say I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna continue to say this. Our interior pass rush is what makes our defensive ends look mediocre. I thought Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa had great seasons. AJ Epinesa had a career year, and I thought Rousseau, obviously he didn't get to double-digit sacks I was looking for, but he was impactful almost every game. But the fact that our defensive tackles have been, all of them, have been on the damn milk carton all season, except for Jordan Phillips, who I said to bring him back, and they did, and he made the biggest difference. The fact that you had to go get Jordan Phillips off being released from Dallas to make a difference in that room when you got Ed Oliver making over $60 million. Obviously, I'm going to give Dwayne Carter a pass. He's a rookie, but he was not the same after come back from the wrist injury either. So I'm going to give him a pass. Austin Johnson, they didn't even bother playing him no more. I bet people he was even on the roster.
He was inactive, I think, last game.
He was inactive for I don't know how long. I don't even know he was even with the team anymore. He was, but he just collecting a check. Okay? Collecting a check. But overall, I just want to say, and DaQuan Jones has not been the same since he got hurt in that week 4, whatever that was. He never been the same. We gave him money. He made $9 million this year, and we got nothing for it. Okay? Mm. I'm going to continue to say it, and I've been saying it for multiple years now. I don't care about the cornerback room. I don't care about the safety room. I don't care about any of the other rooms. If you can't get pressure up front, And I'm not blaming our defensive end group because Dwayne Smoot had one of the best defensive games that we saw this past week. Okay, and a guy I wouldn't mind bringing back. I thought Von Miller had a horrible game until I went and checked the stats and said he had 2 QB hurries. He only played 15 pass rush snaps. He had 2 QB hurries of the 15 snaps. Now, obviously, we didn't get our money's worth of Von. That's a whole different story. We'll talk about that in the offseason as well, as I'm pretty sure that's his last game in the Buffalo Bills uniform. But our defensive tackle room was atrocious this year, and they should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves. They gave us little to no production. And I get this whole Ed Oliver thing that, he needs a running mate. He needs a running mate. Well, if he needed a running mate and you were unsure if you had the running mate, you don't give an undersized defensive tackle $60 million if you are sure you don't have the person to pair with him to make him click. Now, he didn't have the worst game, but once again, it's easy to take him out the game if he's not paired with somebody that's doing work. And we haven't got that position right since Star Lotulelei. A one tack. We have not found a one tack since Star Lotulelei. And maybe it was easy when these guys first came in because you had Kyle Williams there, taking up some of those roles and making things easy. But that to me is the number one issue on this football team. It's not the cornerback room. It's not the safety room. It's that position right there. Because you don't get pass rush from the edge. You can't force anybody. You have nobody in the interior force anybody to the edge to your defensive ends. And you can't keep your linebackers clean. And these linebackers are small. They're fast, but they're small. And when they get hit by guards and centers at the second level, they ain't breaking loose.
What's understood don't need to be explained. Don't want to harp on it too long. We're gonna have some great conversations in the off season, y'all, about this stuff. So yeah, it wasn't good. I just think that outside of Dwayne Carter, Ed Oliver, you need to you need to revamp that D tackle position again. We got to go back, and I need you to go get two bigger D tackles, big guys. You right? I think you go get a guy to Kentucky, big dude, 360, 350, whatever he is. You go get him. Honestly, like you said, JT, I would love to bring Jordan Phillips back. Like
I would at this point.
I would love to bring him back. He'll come at a minimum deal. You got a guy who fits in Buffalo. He's a locker room guy. He's going to work hard. And honestly, I had a conversation with him, dude. There's going to be games where you're inactive. You know what I mean? Are you okay with that? And that's what it is. You know what I mean? I just think safety was my number one, but I changed my whole list up here after just kind of getting out and stepping back. It's D tackle. D tackle, corner, and then safety. That's how it goes, man. You have to get the opposite corner, number two. You got to get another safety. Worst case scenario, you can roll back Rat and Cole Bishop and be all the way good. But yeah, that D tackle room, man. You talked on it. Yeah, we got to change that.
I thought in this particular game it reared its ugly head. You got nothing for the pass rush. You're solely, and I see people keep putting defense ends, and that's great, but defense ends are extremely expensive. And very. I think you have two very good defensive ends in Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa. Are they Myles Garrett and Max Crosby? No, they're not. But when you talk about getting to the quarterback, you're paying a guy on that defense line $60 million. And I'll tell you what, he ain't there to hold up gaps.
He there to get to the quarterback. That's what he's there for.
So if I'm paying one guy $60 million and I have to bring another $60 million guy, well, that other $60 million guy don't need to be here. You need to figure out a way to get that contract up out of here. Because I can tell you what the other two ends do. They contain, they hold edges, they play tough against the run.
They're elite. They're elite at that in the run game. Those dudes are special. People look at it's the fantasy football thing. Oh, he didn't have any sacks today. Greg Rousseau has had some great games with 0 sacks. For sure. I'm a pound the table. Y'all gonna get sick of me saying it. I am pounding the table for Khalil Mack. He will be the perfect fit here. If you're gonna go DM.
Yep. That's the guy.
That's my number one target.
For the third rusher.
Yes.
The role that Von Miller was supposed to play. But yeah, man, I mean I just thought that the defensive tackle room should be ashamed of themselves. A game where we needed them to force to get pressure up the middle, it didn't happen. It did not happen. So
Well,
I just
we got to realize too, JT. Another conversation we got to have. DM position. Both those guys' contracts are up after next year too, Russo
yeah,
and Epinesa.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like that's the conversation we got to have, um, in regards to what what's the deal.
yeah. And then I mean, just the linebacker room. Um, I know everybody said that they thought last year not having Terrell Bernard would hurt us, and obviously it definitely played a role. I'm not gonna sit here and act like not having Terrell Bernard would not hurt us. But I will say this: as much of an impact as I like to say he made, this is a guy that we got to consider paying pretty soon, and I think he's really affected by not having a defensive tackle. That's why I keep saying you got to get that one tech in to see who's who and what's what for real, for real.
Yeah.
Um,
Pay JT. Pay him now before they get that elite D tackle. And this dude performs. He fits perfect. And that dude go out there and have 140 tackles after we get that one tag. His price tag go up, man. Hey, offer him a reasonable deal now. See if he take it, man.
I like Terrell Bernard. I really do. I really do. But how much do you think he affected this game versus the Chiefs?
Not a ton. He didn't play bad. He played well. I think
He
we'd
played
have
solid.
noticed if you wasn't there.
He played solid. Um, Obviously he put up 3 tackles, 7 tackles total, 3 tackles solo, 4 tackles. One he only had one missed tackle, which I think was on the P Ryan, and he allowed one reception for 17 yards, which I'm pretty sure that was the P Ryan
Yep.
catch. But I mean, he's not slow. He's sideline to sideline guy. But Matt Milano, that's the question. That's gonna be a question we got to answer in the offseason. At times in this game, it looked like, okay, Matt's back, but there was other times in this game it was like, is Matt still rehabbing? Is Matt healthy, or is Matt getting old and everything's catching up to him? Those are some questions that we got to ask. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. If you had to move Matt Milano, Dorian Williams is not his replacement. Dorian Williams may be able to replace Terrell Bernard at middle, but he is not an outside linebacker in his defense. He is not his replacement. He cannot cover. He cannot cover, and he does not have the IQ to cover. And at that particular spot for Matt Milano, you have to have that. It's like you damn near to replace Matt Milano coverage skills or his IQ for coverage and what he's seeing. You almost have to put a natural safety there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just say from a defensive standpoint, there's going to be some things we got to look at. That defensive line, we got to get that defensive tackle spot together. Obviously, we may have a whole new secondary room. Not entirely new, but there's going to be some new faces there for sure. I think you keep adding athletes there. And the linebacker room, I think that's going to remain the same. Those two guys coming back next year. But you
Yeah.
do have to answer the question of, by next year, I think it's imperative to have Matt Milano's replacement on this roster already. And I do believe Matt Milano is back next year because the dead cat wouldn't make any sense to get rid of him, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. No.
But
So I think about this game. Right. It's talking about this game. It was obvious we just need playmakers on defense. And the one thing you mentioned about the safety tandem, it showed where athleticism mattered. Certain plays
woo,
that Cole Bishop made and Hamlin just didn't because he's just not athletic enough. One thing you can say about them Chiefs dudes, even though they ain't a great tandem, if you can fly around a lot of times,
you can get by.
you can wing
You
some
can get
things. You
by.
can wing it. You can wing it.
Like I
Especially if you
said,
know what the heck you're doing, you can wing it a little bit.
like I said, Spagnuolo knows how to use those guys. It's certain things he would not call with them. Let's just be honest. Um, as a duo, I don't think they're that great of a duo. I think they're just hell athletic. But DeMar Hamlin is just honestly, he's just playing. Excuse my language. He's faster than me. But he's slow as shit, man, compared to his peers. It's like he's running with cinder blocks. Every time someone's running by, I know who's chasing because I see the back of his jersey. It says Hamlin right here. Every TV screen, Hamlin. That's not good. Not good
Yeah.
at all. And I mean, we complained about Hyde and Poyer getting older and the safety room being slow. I felt like the safety room's even slower this year with young
Yeah, because
guys.
because one thing they were so smart. Hyde was so smart. He understood angles, and that's what it comes down to, man. That safety, man. You once you understand those angles, you good money.
And I just want to bring up a point about Rasul Douglas. We were talking about the tackling. There was a season that Rasul Douglas put up. Actually, multiple seasons. Rasul Douglas put up over 60 tackles. There was actually
Oh,
one
that
season.
one now it ain't the fact that I know he will tackle, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about tackling in space.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just saying there was one season with Green Bay in 2022, which I believe this was the season they after this was the season after when they considered putting him at safety. Rasul Douglas had 85 tackles that
He
season,
saved our
69,
ass on quite
hold
a few plays this year with tackles he made.
69 solos. So I just want you to keep in mind that I I think with Green Bay thinking about doing it, and the Green Bay is actually known for making those type of switches. They've been doing that to the teletime. The reason I'm so confident, hey, he probably could do it, was because the particular team that was eyeing to do it. They have an eye for that, like Micah Hyde, for instance.
Yeah.
Corner, punt returner, kick returner, and safety. Like they have a knack for that. So just want to throw that out there about some stats. But yeah, man, let's move on real quick. We've been on defense a little while. The Bills have no answer for Xavier Worthy. Obviously, Xavier Worthy killed us that game, 6% for 85 yards. What'd you think about the performance and obviously his comments after the game?
Um, he has solid. He definitely played well. Um, he forget it's a marathon. If you want to talk about certain things, a marathon, not a sprint. Um, he is a baller, but he's the type of guy where you got to have certain plays for him, right? Um, well, not I'm not going to say that. That's not fair. He's a complete receiver. I think he's a complete receiver, but he played well. He played well. Um, I'm not mad that we didn't draft him at all. I mean, that's just not what we because it's not what we needed. We've been looking for a big body receiver, so it made sense why we did it, right?
Yeah,
So I'm totally fine with them doing what they did. I am.
yeah. So my thing is this, and I guess I'll change the heading. I would the Bills regret passing on him? I don't think necessarily regret it because I mean obviously you kind of filled his role with Shakir and Curtis Samuel, two similar receivers. Now neither one of those guys are fast as Xavier Worthy, and they never will be. Most humans on earth are probably not as fast as Xavier Worthy. Just to be
Yep.
honest about that. Um, but I did pound the table before the draft. I wanted both him and Keon Coleman. If you guys remember
Hmm.
correctly, I said
Hmm.
I wanted them both. I said I wanted Buffalo to go to Green Bay Packer method and bring in two young guys and pair them with the veterans that we had. Um, so will the Bills regret it? In my opinion, I personally regret it a little bit because, like I said, I wanted both for him and Keon Coleman. That was my dream tandem that the Bills will trade up back in the second round, get Coleman. Obviously, Coleman went a little earlier than I thought he was going to go. To be honest with you, so it may not have been. They may not have had the opportunity to get both of them, but that's kind of what I wanted. I thought both players would be available in the second round. But no, do they regret it? I don't think they regret it. They know what they're doing. The Chiefs know what they're doing. Actually, it's funny because he ran some of the routes that Tyreek Hill used to run against us. Against the Bills in this particular game, which means that Andy Reid had those things drawn up just for him. So my answer is no, they won't regret it, but it does sting just a little bit, and it also stings too because if he turns the type of player I think he'll be, and by mind you, I think him and Keon Coleman will both be very impactful players in this league. It just stings a little bit because the Bills gave him Worthy technically, and they also gave him Mahomes technically, but technically,
Yeah.
not necessarily, but
But those picks turned into. I mean, yeah, I get it.
yeah. So I mean, moving on. Somebody asked, Kevin asked, do you think they're gonna draft two receivers in this draft? I don't know. I can definitely see one. It depends what you're doing at
Yeah.
other boundary receiver. I'm not know yet.
Two is tough. I don't see two because you got to look at the locks for next year. Keon Coleman, Shakir, Samuel. Why am I missing somebody? Why am I missing somebody? Keon Coleman, Samuel.
I think Mac Hollins gonna get an extension, so I would say he's gonna be back.
Yeah, that's yeah. So that'd be four, right? I'm missing somebody, JT.
I believe that's probably it for
Is that
locks.
it? Okay,
That's
because
it
Cooper's
because
a free agent.
Amari may not be back.
Yeah.
Amari is your fifth.
Okay.
So then you had like Jalen Virgil and some things like that floating around. So I don't think you. I think that's only your four locks probably.
Yeah, I don't see him
Um,
going with two. I just don't. I don't.
But
One,
but let's
yes.
but let's talk about this Dalton Kincaid late drop. Obviously that drop at the end of the game, it ended the Bills' drive. Obviously, a crazy ass play for Josh Allen to get away from throw that ball in the air and actually throw a ball accurate down there, and it hit his hands and he dropped it. I mean, obviously a ball that, as an NFL player, you have to catch it. It's tough, but you have to catch it. What you think about this crucial drop, and obviously the response to a drop from fans? I saw some stuff that I'm like you got to be kind of stupid, but I'll let you go first.
It hurt. It hurt. It's so I wrote on my Facebook. It's so ironic. We won by a drop pass. Now we lost by one.
Yeah,
It happened. Especially some of the big stuff that some Bills fans was talking and dogging out Mark Andrews. Look what happened to us. You know what I mean?
yeah, yep.
It that stunk. It stunk for him. I ain't gonna lie, man. That was rough for my man. Um, People don't want to hear this. You learn from it. You know, I think he cares enough. I think he's going to grow. I think he's going to be a great tight end for us. He's a baller. Get him healthy, be able to come back, and he's going to be better for it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it happens. Obviously, it happened in the wrong time. I think that if he makes that catch, who knows what happens? Obviously, we're right at field goal range. We're easily in field goal range at that point in time if he catches that ball where he was cutting his around the 30-yard line. But it's tough. It's really tough, and I mean he's gonna think about that all off season. On top of playing with a torn PCL, which I think is just I think that's recklessness on the Bills organization and himself playing at this stage in his career. I understand what's on
Well,
the line.
the only reason why I'm gonna say what if it's not if it can't be any worse. If he tore the PCL and they said, "Listen, you can't make anything worse by playing with this as pain management," I'm okay with it. If it's a situation where he was at risk for way more things, that's different. I don't think so. I don't think they'll put him out there for that. I think it's a situation they said you can't do anything worse. You okay to play long as you can tolerate the pain.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that in a second because, like I said, I do want to look up his numbers and just see what he had. But no, I mean, obviously, it stings. It stings a lot. But he's a young kid. I think he'll grow from it. But I will say this: for the people calling him a bust and things like that, I think that's just asinine.
Yeah, he'll be a Pro Bowler
I
next year,
mean,
in my opinion.
first and foremost, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Tight ends are one of those positions that is not necessarily easy transitional position to NFL. Number one, no position is, but tight end particularly is
Unless you're just
sometimes
force fed the ball. If you're not force fed the ball and you got to fit into a scheme and you doing your true 111th, it
right.
is difficult.
And not for nothing, it's not like he's playing on a team like the Raiders where Brock Bowers is obviously being targeted. You know what I mean? This is a team that's winning like 4 games. Okay, that's a little bit different. And I would even jump off a cliff and say, outside of Travis Kelsey, those teams who target their tight ends the most normally are not playoff teams. If your tight end is leading your team in receiving yards normally, and they're in the tops of the league receiving, you are normally not a playoff team. You can fact check me on that. That's usually check down Charlie's. Tight ends and running backs. Back in the day, if you had Larry Sanders on your squad, and
Oh,
Larry Sanders
listen,
had
Larry
100
Sanders have
catches,
100 catches a year.
and you have 5 wins, it was check down Charlie time. You won winning nothing. So
Sam Gash even has some catches.
oh nah, yeah, he did. Yeah, Sam had a couple. He had about 6.
Yo, listen, I love that Sam Gash on this team, boy.
Sam Gash wouldn't even play in this day and age. Sam Gash would be suspended the way he hit people.
True.
I'm just being real. But going to the Dalton Kincaid thing, obviously talking about, I was report coming out that he's playing with a torn PCL. If you look at his numbers, obviously I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna assume that PCL injury came in that Colts game
Yeah.
because obviously that's when he went out. They didn't say when it happened, but let's just use a little bit of common sense here and just assume that it happened that Colts game because after that Colts game he missed almost a month. He missed a month. Uh, Detroit 7 catches, 4 catches, 53 yards. New England 4 catches, 15 yards. Jets 2 catches, 24 yards. Denver 3 catches, 47. Baltimore 1 catch, 11. Kansas City 2 catches, 13 yards. That shows me that a player who's that shows me a player who is not effective at this point in time. And I'm assuming he's not effective because it has nothing to do with skill. That has to be the injury affecting him. Darwin Kincaid can give you 4 catches and 35 yards on a bad day. I think that even if it can't get worse, I think it's recklessness a little bit. Because if this guy, it's not like he's a Dawson Knox where he's out there and you're telling him, hey, go out there, run block. You're putting him out there to be a pass catcher of the ball, right? To be a threat in the passing game. If he can't do what he normally does, he can't be that threat for you. So in my opinion, putting him out there with a torn PCL, it limited him. He was limited and it limited your offense. And even though they say that this particular injury couldn't get worse, Dawson Knox said he aggravated the other leg. Because now, if you're playing off balance, you know how these knees work. Like they say, if you tear one ACL, the odds is you're probably going to tear the other one because you're off balance. Well, now is he going to the offseason with this leg messed up and now the other leg aggravated too? Now you're potentially running into camp. I think that was a bad decision, in my opinion. Especially when you have a guy like a Davidson who's sitting on practice squad who I think's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I like Davidson a lot. I really, really do. I'm a Davidson fan. But yeah, I get it. But I don't think it was the answer to the question. I don't think it was reckless. Smart, probably not. But hey, we got through it. Nothing else crazy happened. So hey, get healed up and let's get ready to roll next year.
I just want to look up something real quick because I know obviously I'm never going to compare this dude to Brock Bowers because that's just a whole totally different situation. But I know he's going to be compared to Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta had 889 yards as a rookie, but he also had 120 targets. Whereas in Dalton Kincaid's rookie season, he had 673 and he had 91 targets. All right. That's a lot better efficient rate of 91 targets off 73 catches. Laporta ended up having what did it say? He had, I believe, 88 catches off 120. So listen, he's not a bust. Stop saying that. He hasn't been a bust.
Far from a
Stop
bus.
stop saying that, okay? We went through years of having Scott Chandler and people like that and Lee Smith running fade routes down the sidelines. I'm pretty sure that, you know, he could do less. And let's not even remember. Let's not forget about the times that Josh Allen missed him wide open multiple times down the field. That was probably another 152 in the yards to itself. Just being honest about it.
Yeah.
So, right, Kevin. Kevin says, "Who else are they going to throw it to in Vegas?" Exactly the point. Exactly the point. So we're moving forward, man. Let's talk about. We'll get D Dot in here. Talk about this offense. D Dot, what's going on, my man? Want to talk about Josh Allen right now, man. And you're on mute. Hold on, I'll mute you there. I think you're on mute. Try to mute yourself.
My bad. What's up, fellas? My
No
fault.
problem. Man, moving forward, man. I gotta ask the question, man. Will Allen eventually get past his KC hurdle on your mind?
Me, listen, man. Me, to be honest with you, I get so tired of this narrative, because so often we make it, and I mean we I mean just the general public, we make it a one-on-one matchup. Allen versus Jackson, Allen versus Mahomes, Mahomes versus Burrow, and at the end of the day, one of the guys who has to walk back, has to go home, has to walk off that field with that L. We look at them as, oh man, they didn't do what they needed to do to win the game. In my opinion, Josh, he didn't have a perfect game by any means, but he did enough for us to be able to win the game. Gonna keep it a buck with you. The narrative that people throw out there, like, oh, did Josh get over this hurdle? The 13-second game, like I mentioned on the last episode, and we agreed on. he balled out, man. This game, you know what I'm saying? He did enough. He didn't turn the ball over. No turnovers, right?
No
Yeah, no
turnovers.
turnovers. No turnovers. I mean, me personally, I don't like that. I just don't like the can he get over the KC narrative. It's a matchup game. When Benford went out, I was like, I got a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I knew it was gonna be a back and forth. I knew we were gonna have to keep pace with scoring, and that's just what it was. So when that narrative is thrown out there, JT, I honestly, it makes me cringe. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like there's 11 guys on the football field, man. That's why this game is so beautiful. 11 got to be on the same page. If one guy doesn't do his job, that can compromise the whole mission.
So I will say this. I hear you, and I'll say this. Through Teletime, it's always been from Kelly Marino, Elway Kelly, Elway Kozar, Asiason, Brady Manning. It's always been this way, and it's always going to be this way. You're the face of the franchise. You're the leader of the team. The only time we don't see matchups like this is when it was Brad Johnson leading the Bucks because you talked about that defense, or Trent Dilfer because you talked about that Ravens defense. It's only a few times that you get this far, and it's not quarterback versus quarterback. And it's just because that's just the way that's marketing. And as franchise quarterbacks, it may be unfair, but that's what you're gonna get. And unfortunately, if the Bills lose to Kansas City, well, is Ken Allen get past Kansas City? I mean, he's the face of the franchise. He's the leader of the team.
And JT, I get that, but how do you really answer that question though? You know what I mean? If it's not him, you get what I'm saying? Did he? As a matter of fact, I'll ask you this, and I'm not saying that I know you're being subjective. You're asking the question, right? Did Allen lose the game?
No.
So what hurdle does he have to get over? If he did not lose,
but he has to win. He has to win the game. And
did he do enough? Did he do enough to win the game?
No, because they didn't win.
I disagree.
Because I mean, so this is 2 years in a row, right? That we had the ball with pretty much the last possession. Last year it was an off-balance throw to Shakir, which some people disagree he should do the cross. Some people think he should throw the route to Shakir. This year is the 4th inches. I mean, we're gonna get into that about the refereeing and all that things like that about that officiating. But the thing is, no matter what, I don't care if Allen goes for 140 yards, 18 to 31, and they win. He's going to get the credit. And in the loss, he's also going to get the credit.
I get that, but my point is this: define what the hurdle is, though, because people say this: can you get over the hurdle, the KC hurdle, right? What is the hurdle if you have a good game? If you have as a matter of fact, let's look at the Kincaid play really quickly, right? There's 6 at the line of scrimmage. Okay, yep. That's 6 versus 5 because it was an empty formation, right? It was a 4-by-1, right? On the left side of the football field, they had Cook capping number 27. Yeah, Cook capping number 27. That signifies that is a threat for a blitz right there. That signifies that. You know what I mean? If you look, the O-line is actually, you know what I'm saying, sliding to, well, the center checks the left. He checks his right real quick. He, you know what I'm saying, make sure nobody's coming through that A gap, but he pulls back. He goes back to the left. So that lets you know that they're sliding to the left as far as protections are concerned. Josh Allen, when he's fading over to the right, he's anticipating pressure if pressure was coming from the left. Correct?
Right.
He keeps retreating. At the last second, this man throws off his back foot downfield to Kincaid. We know it hits him in the hands. It's one of the better throws that you can make in that situation, and the receiver doesn't make the play. Now, if he catches that, and I know we're talking about an alternate universe, right? If he catches that, we're having a different conversation. Correct. You know what I'm saying? So what hurdle does he have to get over?
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that.
The hurdle is just this: is they're 0-4 versus Kansas City in the playoffs. I mean, well, you can't, like, not for nothing. If Kelly was 0-4 versus Marino, you would say, could Jim Kelly get over the Dolphins hurdle? It's going to be the same conversation, just like Lamar Jackson. If Lamar plays Buffalo again next year and he loses, that narrative is going to be, can Lamar get over the Buffalo hurdle? It doesn't matter if he throws 300 yards.
But he didn't play a good game. He didn't play a good game last game, though, is my point.
But he threw for 254 and he hit the guy in the hands for 2-point conversion. I'm not missing that, right?
Yeah, but he also had 2 turnovers.
But you're right, he did. But did he do enough for his team to win?
In my opinion,
Did he do enough for his team to win last week?
He did enough for them. He did enough for them to win. He did enough for them to win, but he also did. He also turned the ball over and he put him in jeopardy though.
I mean,
Allen didn't do anything to lose the game.
but as unfair as the narrative may be, it's been a narrative for the last 40 years,
I
and it's
get
gonna
that.
and it's going to stay the narrative.
I
If
get
you
that. My
look,
only question is, what is the hurt? What is defined as the hurdle?
the hurdle was just
Just
not
the
getting
team, just
the hurdle was
winning.
just the team not getting the W. James,
I agree. I didn't want to intervene. Y'all was having some, excuse me, good discussion there. I understand what they're saying, right? Do it. That don't mean I agree with it, but I get it. Um, they're saying the Josh Allen led team can't beat the Patrick Mahomes led team. The Lamar Jackson led team can't beat the Josh Allen led team. I think that's what they're saying, but instead of saying led team after their first names or their first and last name, they're just saying Josh Allen can't. Instead of saying the Josh Allen led team. You get what I'm saying? I think that's what it is. Um, but my opinion, I said this a long time ago. I think once the Bills do get one, I think they're going to get two in a row. He's going to win 3 Super Bowls in my prediction in his Bills career. Um, but I think they'll run them off. Once they do, they'll start running them off. Kansas City, they got a nice run going right now. But I think when Josh Allen start running them joints off, he gonna run them. He gonna run them things off. He'll be all right.
I mean, like I said, I get it. Like, but from Marcus' standpoint, like I said, it's gonna be quarterback versus quarterback. It's always gonna be that way. And I get what you're saying. You're right about the led teams, but the problem and the reason that I think the KC hurdle comes up because we know Josh Allen can beat the Ravens. We've seen it twice already in the playoffs. The Bengals got their own problems. They're not even in the damn playoffs, so we can't even bring them up right now. The Titans, not an issue. You can go through the AFC. Chargers, Justin Herbert, we ain't even seen them because they got their own issues. The only team we can't seem to beat is the Chiefs. So
In
I
the
guess
playoff. Yeah.
in the playoffs. So I mean, no one else has been. I mean, and unfortunately, out of the AFC, these are probably the only two teams that have consistently been in the playoffs and in this position each year after year. Just
They
about
are. They're the cream of the crop in the AFC. You can't
right.
even put Baltimore in that conversation. To
Nope,
be honest
you
with you,
can't.
right? Because Baltimore, when you talk about, they have no excuse for not reaching the Super Bowl the last 2 years. There's no excuse. You had KC at home last year as well, right? You have the MVP. You have a defense that's balling. Then you lose to them. Okay, we need instead of Lamar running the ball, we're going to get it. You went and got Derrick Henry, who had 1,900 yards this year. You still lost to a team who obviously, as you see, the Bills has some defensive issues. You lost to that team. So to be honest with you, the Ravens got some problems over there. They got some things they got to work out. In Buffalo, I'm pretty sure right now, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, they're having a conversation. They know exactly what they need to attack and do to get this team to where it needs to be. Right? I don't mean it's going to be easy, but they know what they have to do to get there. That's my opinion on that. With the Ravens, like, where do you turn to? You went and got a 1,900-yard back. You went and signed Patrick Queen, right?
Right.
You got Kyle Hamilton at safety. You got Humphrey. You moved him to the slot. What now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you talking about issues and getting over that. I know a little off
Well,
topic, but
well,
they got some issues over there.
the biggest issue that they have in Baltimore, and I don't want to get too far off topic with you, but is you have a quarterback that when it comes time to play the quarterback position, at times shows he cannot do it. Unless it's extended plays or things of that such. And I'm sorry to say that because, like I said, I am a Lamar Jackson fan. I
Me
like
too.
Lamar Jackson, but at times he shows he cannot do that. So, but yeah, Jeff, I know you're talking about Tannehill 3-2 against Allen, but we're talking about the playoffs, man. I mean, Tannehill ain't never even had Tannehill ever played an AFC Championship game
Well, where is Tannehill at right now?
at home chilling because he said he wasn't taking no job unless he was a starter.
Okay.
Steelers have been better off with him than they were with Russ. Just saying.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I like Russell Wilson is over and done with. They should have saw that earlier this season. But Dwight Barrow says coming down to defense, not Josh. I disagree to a point because in the playoffs, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be an offensive matchup. It's going to be a defensive matchup. Not for nothing. Not for nothing. Josh had the ball pretty much last year and this year. We didn't get it done. So, if you ask me if the offense did enough to win the game, the answer is no. If you don't outscore the team, you didn't do enough. I thought that the defense came in the second half and did a pretty good job of changing things up, though.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, moving on, man. I gotta ask, man, was this game marred by bad officiating? Obviously, we had 2 to possibly 3 controversial calls. Obviously, beginning with the interception that wasn't an interception for Cole Bishop. Obviously, we do realize that the Bills would not have gained possession as they had illegal contact anyway on that play. But still, it put the Chiefs in a position where they had the ball at the 3-yard line, 4-yard line, compared to having a first down back at the 25-30. Then you obviously had the tush push that didn't get the first down. That on every camera angle after the game, it shows that ball definitely crossed the line, and you had an issue because you had 2 different spots on that. You had the spot with one ref coming from the far side, had the spot over the line. You had the ref coming down from the bottom side, who did have a better view. I will say that. Not given the spot. So I mean, I thought that one particular play changed the whole momentum of the game. Jeff, please stop. Allen and Tannehill are not the same. They're not. Their careers are not even close to being the same.
I think it's insulting to even have the conversation.
Yeah, that's totally insulting, dude.
That's an insult.
It's not even close. Tannehill had 8 years in Miami that we totally forget about. Let's just be honest about it. But obviously that comes down to two interpretations of time, and and Mo Brown also says the bad offside call on Ed. I thought Ed timed that snap perfectly.
Yeah.
I didn't see him offsides either. So
that wasn't as bad as how they right tackle do. No, let me shut up.
Oh, Jawan Taylor and his early starts. But this is the thing, man. I don't like blaming officiating. It's something I rarely do. The interception one was probably the most egregious one to me. Because like I said, the tush push or 4 for 1, 4 for inches, whatever it was, that was poor execution by Buffalo to even lead that up the chance. Mm-hmm. Just being honest. They didn't get the push they needed. You should never see offensive linemen getting stood up and pushed back when you got a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback that you need a half a yard. Just being 100% about that. So whether they got it or they didn't get it, poor execution by the Bills on that one. The interception, absolutely, that's the worst call of the game to me. Clear-cut possession. Ball hits the ground. He gains possession. He takes possession from the ball after it hits the ground. The play should have been dead. Should have been 100% dead. That gave KC an easy touchdown. Not saying they weren't going to score a touchdown anyway on that drive. Because once again, I'm going to repeat, they had illegal contact by the Bills. So it was going to be a automatic first down regardless. But to me, that was probably the most egregious one. What do you guys thought?
You can go first, D-Dot.
All right. Man. All right, let's start off with the tush push not making the 4th and 1 allegedly, right? If you look at Chris Jones, he's in the neutral zone as well.
That's true, yeah.
So he's in the neutral zone. If you want to call that on Ed Oliver, you got to call this on Chris Jones, whose face mask is damn near touching the laces. You know what I mean? So you got that. It's common. It's not, well, it's football sense. You feel me? If it's Josh Allen, he's holding the ball here and it's under his chin, and you see his spinal cord is damn near over the line to gain right there, that tells you, hey, part of the football is over that as well. But I think that the whole thing of definite video evidence, conclusive video evidence, it winds up marring that, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their ability to be able to say, "Oh, well, yeah, it was a first." You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, I also have an issue with how the rule is written, and well, honestly, I don't know what a catch is anymore. But with the rule being written the way it is, it's hey, if they show they got possession and the ball doesn't move, and then if it hits the ground and if the ground doesn't assist the catch, then it's a catch. But how is it not assisting the catch if you got one hand on it and you kind of, you know what I'm saying, nose of the ball there, and then you're able to, you know what I'm saying? So with the, in my opinion, with the way the rule is written, it was a completion with the way the rule is written, in my opinion, because the ball didn't move. But for me, it's not a catch though. That's for me though, in my own,
Right.
from
Right.
my
Right.
own perspective of
Correct.
football. You know what I mean? So I think the way the rules were written, I kind of gives like these guys an
Right.
out as well.
Right.
And honestly, I like me and James say all the time, common sense ain't so common, man. And those were common sense. That was some common sense stuff that's really not common, and they use rules as a cop out in my opinion.
And I'll agree with you on the rule about if the ball doesn't move. Now, if the ball does not move when it hits the ground, it is a catch. Now, I will say that ball never moved, even though it hit the ground, it never moved anybody's hands. And technically, a tie is supposed to go to the receiver. It wasn't a tie because Worley only had one hand going to the ground on it. Bishop had possession with two hands underneath it. That is not a tie. That is a possession to the defensive player. But James, you go ahead.
At this point in time, I think, and as a former player, as a current coach, I never allow myself, my staff, or any of our players ever blame officiating. I think it's poor. I think it's a cop out. I think it's weak. But this conversation is the question is the question. The NFL should be embarrassed by the officiating of some of the calls that has gone in the Chiefs' favor over the last few years. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the National Football League, a billion-dollar industry who does puts out a phenomenal product, the best sports league in the world. For them to have these type of calls, right? I look at the 4th and 1, right? Y'all spoke on that. Y'all's perfect. The one that sticks out to me is this. This is where my problem lies. You have a quarterback sitting in the pocket. He literally has to point to the referees to tell them there's a defensive holding in the middle of a play
Yeah,
to
that was the
get the
Mac Hollins
flag.
play, right?
That's embarrassing, man.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. As opposed to it's a bang bang play. Travis Kelsey, the last 2 weeks, has been known for literally extending his hands and pushing off defenders, right? Which I don't blame Hamlin at all. He locked up with him. All right, you pushing me? What's up? He held him up. I don't blame him at all. Because if you notice, Travis Kelsey had success last week, literally pushing and extending his arms, pushing people away. So it's a bang bang play. They both getting physical. He tries to pull away from Hamlin. Flag.
Right. And what did we say last week? We said just that's last week. The way to guard Kelsey is to man him up. If you man him up, he can't do shit.
Yeah,
And what happened
yeah,
in the game? 4 targets, 2 catches, 19 yards.
yep. So no, for sure. And but I look at plays like that. It's the hidden plays. The referees need to be ashamed of themselves. That's embarrassing.
What do you? Why do you think that is, though? Do you think this is cool? Because obviously, a lot of people say this about New England as well. I don't even think it was
I don't remember New England getting these type of call like
right.
this
I
type
didn't
of
think it was
favor.
this bad. Right.
It wasn't this bad.
Um.
New England just had a lot of things fall in their favor, where it was like up in the air, like was it a tuck rule thing?
Right.
That was sketchy, right? Like we
Before
didn't know. We had to
replay and
create
all
a
this stuff.
rule
Right.
for it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like it was a bunch of things. Like it was some bang bang type of play. Like these things are literally calls that they're throwing flags and calling them in their favor or not throwing. This is a problem. It's a problem in the NFL. It needs to be addressed. I don't think it's well. I'm not gonna say it's not taken seriously enough. I'm not in those rooms. It's a problem.
I just say this, okay? I still think that, and I know we got a question from somebody I'm going to ask that Dwight Barlow asked, what's your opinion? Would you have called the tush push that many times with Cook playing as well as he has? He was. I will say this about the officiating as far as the 4th and 1 call goes. If it's that close, I think that you give him the benefit of the doubt, and you use replay to be inconclusive to see if he didn't get it. Now, obviously, we know that replay is not something like that. You're talking about a matter of inches. It's probably never going to be conclusive. But you got to give the player the doubt because at the end of the day, that's a quarterback sneak that normally doesn't fail. Um, you also have an MVP candidate on that side, on both sidelines. You have both two top quarterbacks in the league, so they both get respect to those calls, in my opinion. Just like no different than a superstar going to the hoop in basketball. If it's two superstars, they both get that foul call. You give them the benefit of the doubt. Um, but I will say this, asking Dwight's question, I'll let you guys answer it. What's your opinion? What they have called tush push that many times? Cook playing as well as he was. My opinion is after the 2 point conversion failed and they kind of stopped it like twice and came really, really close, I probably would have done something different because when you see the Philadelphia Eagles run their tush push, to be honest with you, I believe that where the Bills are messing up in it, their offensive linemen aren't getting low enough. The Eagles linemen are almost in a crab position. If you know what the crab walk is in football, that's basically what they're in, and they're cutting going forward. With Hurts going on the back, pretty much riding the back of the center or guard. Um, the Bills were not executing that play correctly today, that game. Not like they were, and the Chiefs were doing a hell of a job of whatever they're doing. Whether it was Chris Jones lined up and Nutri's on, hell, if he was getting away with it, he was getting away with it. But when you start seeing Josh going off center to the left, to the what's that, the 3 hole, basically, damn that he was trying to go through.
Mm-hmm.
That I am not interested in. If my quarterback has to go to the 3 hole to get the 1 yard, and I know we done that before. And we saw that a couple years ago in that Titans game, Sunday Night Football, when Jeffrey Simmons stopped it. That's not what I want to see. So if your answer is if I would have ran that many times, I probably would have said no. I probably would not. I probably may not have run that again. And I guess Josh rolled onto the ball because I guess his hand was dinged up in the second quarter. What do you guys think? Think you ran it too much or?
Me, no. The reason being, you keep the ball in your best player on the team hands. Point is that simple. Like one thing you can do in big games is to outcoach yourself and outsmart yourself. Because guess what we'd be doing right now? If we had the same exact outcome, the same exact thing happened on the play, I guarantee you people are saying, "Well, we got Josh Allen. It worked all year. Why we do the tush push?" That's all people would be saying. I'm good with it. It's not like it
I
hasn't worked all year. Yeah, play ball,
I
man.
just didn't like it in this game because when we saw it earlier in the game, it really wasn't effective. Against I don't know what the Chiefs. I actually want to go back and see what the Chiefs did. Um, but to me it looked very sketchy all game. I'm like, oh, this is the
In
first
those
time I
type
see
of games,
anybody.
you want the ball in your best player hands. The best player on the team is Josh Allen.
Yeah,
That's me.
I agree, man. Like you don't go into that game and try to reinvent the wheel. Now, yes, you're gonna have some wrinkles in whatever plays that you bring out. You might have some trick plays in your bag if you know what I'm saying if you're that type of OC, but you go with what you know, and you go with what's got you there. The only thing, and what I think, JT, when you review the film, take a look at this, man. That backside D tackle, which was sometimes Chris Jones and I can't remember who else. Man, they were screaming. They were screaming down the line of scrimmage, man, to that
That's what
left
it was.
side.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I'm having Josh at least test that right a little bit. You know what I mean? You get behind your horse, man. Get behind one of the strongest guys on your line in
Cyrus.
Torrance. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. Block it up a little bit different. And I don't know how the conversations went with the O line coach. I forget his name.
Cromer.
Cromer. Yeah, Cromer. I don't know how those conversations went there, but man, you scheme some stuff up, and you have Josh go, you know what I'm saying, over to that right A gap, that 2 hole, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever that it is. That's my thinking, but I wouldn't just stray away from it whatsoever. Now, I will give you this though, when they went for that 2 point conversion though, after the
That's
penalty, and they ran that speed option. That was them learning from not doing that tush push from before when they got stopped. You know what I'm saying,
yeah.
at the 1.5 yard line. I
Yeah.
like that. You know what I'm saying? I like them going to that there. And that was showing, you know what I'm saying, some growth
Yeah.
right there. But I don't think you go away from the
Yeah.
tush push,
I just
quarterback
think
sneak, whatever you
I
want to call it.
I just think the Chiefs had their tush push figured out. Or they called it the snowplow, I guess. I guess they had.
No.
They feel like they had it figured out. But like I said, maybe I would like to go right because if we remember, Josh always had a habit of quarterback season going to that gap. So and we've seen multiple teams stop that. Remember, there was conversation about a year and a half ago. Why are we so bad at running quarterback sneaks? If you guys remember, we weren't that very good. We weren't that good at it. But over this last year, I think I wouldn't actually, and I know we had a conversation about this last week about being inches and short and in the yard and him being in the shotgun, but I actually wouldn't mind it. I actually wouldn't mind him being in the shotgun with James Cook back there and let them figure out this runner pass, see what they're gonna do, because like I said, a yard. Whether you give it to him a QB sweep, a QB power, QB blast, whatever the case may be, I think Josh is going to get it. Um, so, but either way, I mean, that's neither here or there. It happened. It is what it is. I think that was a big change in the game. I think that changed the game completely because the Bills finished that drive off. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure that the Chiefs can come back. I'm really not. It's a different game with them playing on their heels, in my opinion. But moving forward, man. Next topic, real quick. Bigger throw on the Bills side, Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid. Now, obviously, I know it's a duo, but just want to get a thought who's the bigger thorn on the side. James, I'll let you start first.
I have to say Mahomes because he's the one actually playing.
Okay. D-Dot.
I gotta say Mahomes just because we had a chance. The Bills had a chance to get him. They didn't. I'm good with Allen though. I'm good with Allen. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. They had a chance to get him. They didn't. And like James said, he actually plays the game, man. And also, Reed was there coaching them when they used to have Alex Smith, and they did have Tyreek Hill, and they had Kelsey. Now they aren't who they are right now, but they had them on the roster.
They were winning.
Yeah, they had them on the roster. They weren't doing what they're doing now. Mahomes is that dude that unlocked that. Well, helped to unlock that.
Yeah, he did. So I'm gonna say this, and I know it's to go back to our topic earlier where everything goes to the quarterback now, right? In this case, I think it's Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is the bigger thorn in the Bills' side because even though the players are playing, a lot of it, and we talk about McDermott and preparation, having your team prepped. Andy Reid prepped them dudes like no other, especially on the offside of the ball. Like, when's the last time you saw the Chiefs run that much RPO in general? You can go back through film. I'm not saying they never ran it, but to run it as much as they ran, especially that first drive, that came from the Baltimore game. That 110% came from the Baltimore film. I think that as good as Patrick Mahomes is, we've never seen Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid. We've seen Andy Reid without Patrick Mahomes, and we've seen Andy Reid take a quarterback to the Super Bowl. We've seen him take quarterbacks like Alex Smith and win 15, 14 games. Yeah, it came up short in the playoffs because there were certain limitations with those guys. Now, mind you, I will say this. I think Patrick Mahomes' talent allows Andy Reid to do a lot more than what he's able to do with other quarterbacks outside of Michael Vick and Don McNabb. But we've seen Andy Reid put multiple quarterbacks in winning positions. From Kevin Cobb to Michael Vick, coming out of prison, to Don McNabb, to Alex Smith. You win games with Andy Reid. I will say this. I think it's Andy Reid's mind and his preparation that makes Patrick Mahomes look as good as he can look. I do not think that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. I know that's crazy to say because he's the one walking around with the hardware on his fingers. But I think, and I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. If you swapped Andy Reid and Sean McDermott, and I don't want to play the whole swapping game, you're swapping like 20 plus years of experience on one end. And you're swapping a guy who's taking all these losses Sean McDermott's taking. You're swapping a guy who's, all right, cool. I know what a loss is. I know what a W is. It seems like a guy who's not coaching with any pressure. He's just coaching because he loves it. It's a different levels to this shit, right? And Andy Reid's a whole different level of coaching level, insecurity, and pressure. But offensively, he's probably the greatest offensive mind that has ever graced this game as a coach. He just happens to be a head coach and an offensive coordinator.
Greatest offensive mind? Ooh, that's tough.
You got anybody better? I mean, it's some guys out there, but to do it this long and to transition, think about it. Andy Reid has been coaching since the 80s. And he's transitioned where other guys that had came in with him fell off because they could not modify with the times. This dude is getting better year by year.
Yeah, I can't argue that the progression of Andy Reid, JT. But your point that you just made is the reason why I say it's Mahomes, because this isn't the only. It's not as if it is. It's not as if the Bills have only seen Andy Reid while he's, you know what I'm saying, had Mahomes. He's here. He's been here before Mahomes. He's seen the Bills before then. There was never this narrative. Oh, is Andy Reid like the Bills Slayer? You know what I mean?
But
That
wait,
didn't
wait a
happen
minute.
until Mahomes came about.
Yeah, but Bills weren't even good at that point in time.
I get that. I get that. But it's not as if it was just like, even when the Bills were marginal and they had a chance to make the playoffs or something like that, Andy Reid was coming in and he was just smacking them down or something.
Let me
You know
ask
what
you
I'm
this
saying?
question.
Like, it's
Let me ask
not.
you. Let me give you a hypothetical question. All right, Matt Nagy was his offensive coordinator for years, right? If you switched out, if Andy Reid retired, you put Matt Nagy there. Do you think that the Bills lose to the Chiefs?
I mean, Matt
I don't.
Nagy isn't. He's not Andy Reid, so
Yeah, he's
What
not
about Eric
Andy.
B?
He's
What
not
about Eric B. Enemy?
that's hard to say. I'm gonna say
really.
why. I'm gonna say
Go
why
ahead.
because it'd be different if Bieniemy had a head coaching job before. He's not even. They're not even giving him the opportunity. So that's what's tough about that. I mean, it's. I mean, that's a whole nother story. I still feel a certain type of way about that one. That you got these bum ass dudes who getting opportunities. All right, we ain't gonna go there.
But I'm just saying, like, this is what I mean. Like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel that today, if Andy Reid, let's just say they go and they win in New Orleans. Let's say they win in New Orleans in 2 weeks. And Andy Reid says, you know what? I'm good. I'm done. Walking out on top. Walking in the sunset. Who's going to feel more confident the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs?
Everybody will. I mean, that's obvious.
If, and like I said, obviously, I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on Patrick Mahomes. I'm not, dude, that's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm just highlighting, like, listen, this dude Andy Reid has a huge effect. More effect than he probably gets credit for, because the credit goes to Mahomes to go to Kelsey. And I know they have to play the game, but it's, in my opinion, it's Andy Reid putting Patrick Mahomes in positions to win. And I think that we've seen times where if Andy Reid's not on his A game, Patrick Mahomes is not on his A game, in my opinion. Where Josh, we've seen Josh with Brian Dable, even through Brian Dable's shitty play calling, he got to pull the team through. Through Ken Dorsey play calling, he got to pull the team through. Even when Joe Brady was transitioning last year, it was some bad games for Joe Brady when he transitioned. Josh Allen had to pull the team through. I don't feel like Patrick Mahomes like games had to pull his team through like that. Like, for instance, the 3rd and 9. That call to run that mesh concept and to bring Samaje Perine out the backfield to left hand flat, right? Assuming that's man coverage. Patrick didn't have to make a great throw. That just pitch and catch, right? That was just do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, play design. Yeah, was, I mean, honestly, play design was elite on that. They did actually have a key that it was man, because I think they ran a motion.
Yep.
And then they had, like, I think they had trips to the one side, and then you saw that, and then you saw it just clear out. Me and James already know we kind of got to play like that with the best, but but
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying, against that man, against man, you saw it. If you see it from his perspective, you can see it's a layup. So genius call, yes, genius call. But I'll ask you this though: Alex Smith retired in 2021. If Andy Reid had Alex Smith up to 2021, does he have the run that he has?
Probably not. But that's what. But did he have it? But his team was winning games with Alex Smith. When they said Alex Smith was a bust,
Were they dominating though? That's my point.
They were winning a lot of games. I have to go back check the records, but they were winning the AFC West.
No, were they dominating the way they were though? You know, the way they are now. Were they? Because
How
we could
long
say
did he
that.
have Alex Smith at quarterback? 2
I have to
years.
check and see. Hold on, let me look.
That's a good
I can
question.
look for you. Continue on while I look this up really quick.
Yeah, so it's like if he had him for that amount of time, right, and they weren't dominating, like, it's okay. Granted, you can win your division. You know what I'm saying? If you get to the point where you winning your division and you just not making it over the hump, you know what I mean? It's just like the conversation we having about Josh Allen and McDermott. You know what I'm saying? Can you get over? Can you get over the
Here's
hump?
here's his record with Kansas City. Okay, from I'm gonna go to. You said Mahomes took over at what 20? Which year did Mahomes take over? Was it 20?
It was the second year, wasn't it?
2019 Mahomes took over. I'm assuming
2018, because we
2018.
drafted Josh in 2018, so that's 2018.
Okay,
2018,
so
2019 season.
11-5, 9-7, 11-5, 12-4, 10-6, 12-4, 12-4. It's not much. It's I mean, a couple more wins, but it's really not much different. Obviously, 15-2 was the first year they really went like super crazy. But my point is no matter who you put at quarterback, Andy Reid, and this is through the tell of time, he's gonna get them dubs.
Right, but
But
I'll counter that with this though. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season yet,
no,
right?
yeah, that's a whole different.
He has one. No, let's be real. He hasn't had a losing season, right? But he's even on the hot seat. He's on the hot seat because they're not able to get over the hump. You get what I mean? Like you can make the argument there. If you're not winning that big game or getting deep into the playoffs, what does that regular season do aside you give you a hat and t-shirt at the end of the year or the end of the regular season?
Hey, I mean, I'm not gonna get to the Tomlin debate because I think that's a whole different thing. Like, I mean, it's one thing that there's one thing to go to play, one thing that's the drag like broken legs in the playoffs each year. But that's a whole different discussion. But no, I mean, I just to me the bigger thorn in the Bills' side is Randy Reid because I think if they didn't have his genius in play calling, the Bills would have no issue with them. He figures out this defense, and that's what allows Mahomes. Because if Mahomes had a different offensive coordinator, I think he would struggle versus his Bills D team. I really do. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think without Andy Reid, I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in this league without Andy Reid.
Well, we'll see sooner rather than later because Andy
I hope
Reid.
we see real soon. If I will tell you what, if you told me today, if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, that Andy Reid's gonna walk away as I said, I'm gonna throw all my Chiefs gear on for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. And go buy some and hope they win.
Well, Andy Reid, he closer to the end than he is the beginning. Yeah. And like I said before, I really feel once the Bills get one, they're gonna run them off. We're gonna have a mean run. And they prepare. Let's be real here. The Bills are gearing up for that new stadium. This year was a great year, but JT, you said it better than anyone. This was supposed to be the step back year.
It was.
Dude, we had all that dead cap and everything that it wasn't. We balled out and McDermott showed his ass this year coaching.
Speaking of McDermott, let's go to the next topic then.
Yes.
While we're on there. And I'll start with you, James, since we're already going. McDermott says the team will figure it out. What you got for it then?
Hell yeah. And listen, we ain't even got to spend much time on this. Absolutely. Definitely, we got a top 5 coach in the NFL. 100%. If anybody question that, you're emotional, you're not looking at it the proper way, we got the right guy there. End of discussion.
Okay. D-Dot.
JT, okay.
Well, no.
You already knew it. You knew what Mal was coming with.
It was the next topic anyway, so I'm like, I might as well go right into it because I already know he hot. Let him go. So we
knew what he was coming with. I knew what he was coming with.
He said the team will figure it out. D-Dot. He said the team will figure it out.
I agree with Mal. Yeah, I agree with Mal. Just a quick story. As guy that you know what I'm saying, Mal and I both know he had a stat. I ha-ha'd it. And he said, hey, do you know what I'm saying, what's your reason for ha-ha'ing it? And I gave a litany of reasons. I believe so as well, man. Like, hold your water. That's any Bills fan, Bills Mafia fan, Bills fan, hold your water, man. I think it's just we have gone through so much trauma and losing and everything that all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we want it now. We want it now. Not too long ago, we were begging for a team to beat another team so we can make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, for real. Thank you, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, another donation. Let's set up another donation to his charity. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just for a good time's sake.
Right. So I'll say this, man. Because I'm a big Sean McDermott fan. Obviously, I'd rather have a coach that I'm afraid can't get us past the final step to Super Bowl each year than to have a coach who can't run a locker room, can't run a culture of a team, can't can't just can't be a leader of people, right? Like you said all the time, James, be a leader of men.
That's all. That's
I
the most important thing in NFL character quality in an NFL coach, not
I
freaking play calling.
right. I'd rather have a coach that's gonna bring me to this spot every year. And if I lose it every year, screw it. I'll lose it every year.
You there. You have a fighting chance. Some of these dudes, man.
Right.
Oof.
Um basically. So that's my point, right? My point is I'd rather have him. And not so long ago, Sean McDermott was Andy Reid. This is almost identical to almost how the Andy Reid story started in Philly.
And this the thing. If you gave Philly front office a chance to bring Andy Reid back, I guarantee you they'll trade 2 first-round picks to give up Nick Sirianni and get Andy Reid back. They'll give up 2 first-round picks for that.
100%. You have to be right. You know why you have to be right? Because this is the guy Nick Sirianni. They were talking about firing and bringing Bill Belichick just last offseason. A season removed from our Super Bowl berth, right? So my thing is just about Sean McDermott. If he says the team will figure it out, I got full faith in it. They figured everything else. They just can't get past this Chiefs hurdle. Um,
Is that my audio or is you just down, JT?
I don't know.
Might be my audio.
I
It
think
sounds good
good.
over here for me.
it's good for me. But
You good.
if anybody hearing reverb, let me know. So for me, I just say if they say they're gonna figure it out, they're gonna figure it out. Obviously, I don't want them to have to figure it out for for Andy Reid to retire from to figure it out. But end of the day, I thought that this was the best prepared that the Bills have been going into a Bills Chiefs matchup in the playoffs. To me, that's how I felt. I felt offensively, Joe Brady had them dudes ready to go. Couple bounces, the ball goes a certain way, it's a different game. I thought defensively they were prepared as they could be with having no defensive tackles that are going to make impact, and having a rookie safety starting and a guy at free safety who probably should not be starting for this football team. I thought you prepared as much as you could with those deficiencies. So, in my opinion, if he says it, I'll figure it out. So that brings me to the next point. Confidence level in Sean McDermott is. Since I'm already on the topic, I'll keep going. If you ask me on a scale from out of 10, what I feel Sean McDermott's what my confidence level is in him, my confidence level is a 10. Well, I'm not giving it a 10. I'm not gonna be perfect. I would say a 9 out of 10 because they have been able to figure out everything else. They have been able to figure out everything else that they've gotten wrong in the past. I said it earlier in the season. Bobby Babich and Joe Brady, those are his proteges. Leslie Frazier was not a protege. Brian Dable was not a protege. Neither one of those guys were proteges. They were established coaches who did stuff the way they did stuff the way they wanted to do it long before Sean McDermott became a head coach. The fact that both of those young coordinators are coming back and both of those young guys will be up. Joe Brady will probably be a head coach next season. Obviously, he put his name out the Saints job. I think Bobby Babich, I don't know if he'll be a head coach next year, but I think he'll be a head coach candidate next offseason. He probably has 2 years to wait. So my confidence level on Sean McDermott is a 9 out of 10. I think he's getting everything right. And I would say this is the first year that the team was completely built in the image that he wanted. And I keep saying that on purpose because behind the scenes, Brian Dable undermined him a lot more than people thought he did. Brian Dable caused chaos here a lot more than people knew he did. And that's why I'm glad he's getting the karma he's getting in New York, because when you have your own shit, you see how shit can go when you have bad karma from other people. That shit's a train wreck, and both of those idiots will be, and I call them idiots because they are idiots. They will both be fired after this season. And I hope Saquon Barkley goes to the Super Bowl and runs for 250 yards to show John Mara how stupid those idiots are. They're running the show in New York. Just saying. I'm not a Brian Dable guy. I hate what he did to Sean McDermott here with the undermining. So my confidence level is 9 out of 10 because I feel like Sean McDermott's pure coaching job, where it was the way he wanted it, started this season. Or I'm sorry, the moment he fired Ken Dorsey last year was when it started. Mm-hmm. James, what you got? Confidence level on Sean McDermott out of 10.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
That's real simple. We ain't even got to talk about it long.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
D dot.
9.5.
There you go.
I'll just use Washington, the Washington team, right, as an example. You can see what happens when you have toxicity within your organization.
Yeah, that started with the top, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Like people don't understand the toxicity that Brian Dable brought. Man, it's I can go on and on for days about what he did. It's just it's just insane. But yeah, other than that, man, like I said, I think that overall, unfortunately, we didn't get it done this season. Unfortunately, it's the last show of the season too. As far as we'll do some off season stuff too, but overall, got to give a round of applause to the Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but listen, it's our team. They played their asses off. I had them going 9-8 this season. I'm not afraid to admit that. They shut my mouth, shut my mouth real good. So I'm glad about that. But definitely a round of applause for this team, 2024-2025 season. Obviously, we didn't get to the finish line, but hey, we'll finish in. Well, we definitely finished in third place because Washington definitely finished in fourth place the way they got their ass kicked the other day. So I guess, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. But final thoughts, D Dot, on the 2024-2025 season for the Buffalo Bills and just what you think possibly going forward, and that's it.
yeah. JC, you said the Bills. You said they were going to have how many wins this year?
I said 9-8. I thought 9-8
Nine and
this
eight.
season.
Listen, man. Just going off of that. I felt as though it was going to be a revamp year, not even necessarily a rebuild year, but a revamped year. Um, and I mean, they exceeded everybody's expectations. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Well, I can only speak for myself. I know they exceeded mine. They clearly exceeded JT's.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? From a win loss column. And these dudes, you really couldn't ask for more from a season. I mean, of course, a Super Bowl at the end. But I'm super proud of how this team, you know what I'm saying, persevered. You know what I mean? How they proved all the doubters wrong. You feel me? All the murmurs with the media and everything, trying to make it seem like it was one way, but they knew what was going on in that locker room, man. And I know James can attest to this, man. That locker room is you and your guys. You know what I'm saying? It's you versus the world. You know what I mean? And they took that on. They wore it on. They wore it proudly, and they win. They kicked ass all season. Didn't make it to the ultimate goal, but I'm 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 encouraged by what this team has in place already.
yeah. Mal, final thoughts.
Make it kind of short and sweet because I want to leave some things for these off-season shows we got. We got some real good things happening, so I don't want to drop too much. But man, they balled out. They represented. No letdown. Um, Once again, it was a very, very. I predicted 12 wins. They even exceeded mine to a certain extent. I got no beef with it. They just lost straight up. We didn't go into the game and shoot ourselves in the foot. I can live with just losing a football game. We lost the football game. We'll build on that, and we'll give our thoughts and opinions on what we should do this offseason, our offseason show. So
Yeah.
good job, man. I'm not mad.
I know they asked if we would be live. I'm not sure. Normally in the off season we don't normally go live because it just in off season. I mean, people are just kind of shut off and
We'll
disinterested.
do our free agent shows though and draft shows.
Yeah, you know what I think. We'll probably do recorded shows, so we'll release them as live, but they'll probably just be pre-recorded. That's normally what we do in the off season. It is easier for us too because we don't have to pick a certain time slot. We can bang out three different. Well, what it is we can hone in on certain topics at a time, and then boom, instead of it being an hour show, it can be 5, 10, 15 minutes just on a segment about this one isolated, and then really do a deep dive into it because off season is all deep diving. So, I would say, man, honestly, the Buffalo Bills, 2024-2025 season exceeded our expectations. Um, I think that we changed this offensive identity as far as finding a run game and actually having a run game that is actually a major threat. I think James Cook has turned into just, I mean, dynamite in the can. Going to see what happens with that contract going forward because Dalvin Cook put on Twitter 20 million a year, and I told you, James, I told you before, I'm very afraid of Dalvin Cook getting his ear.
He going 4 years, 40 million. He gonna get it.
Well, that's cheap, and I'll take that if he'd take it. But I'm thinking it's gonna be around 12, 13 million per year. I think that's fair. We'll talk about that later, but I am a little afraid of Dalvin Cook getting involved with this because what you don't want to do is you don't want to give your brother bad advice. If he's in a good spot, you stay in this spot. But that's neither here nor we'll talk about that a little later. Overall, I think that the Bills established themselves and showed that they're going to be a front runner regardless of what happens. Bad cap space, no problem. No Stephon Diggs, no star receiver, no problem. Injuries to multiple people, no Matt Milano for most of the season, no Jordan Poyer, no Micah Hyde. Guess what? No problem. We still gonna win games, and we gonna win a lot of them. We gonna win 13 of them things. I think that this was the first year, like I said before, going into a game versus Kansas City, the AFC Championship game in Kansas City. This was the first year I felt that they were going to win the game. Now, I was hopeful they would win other games other years, but I was like, yeah, they're going to win this game. They didn't help to me end up doing it, but they changed my mindset on that. Got to sew up a couple things on that to both sides of the ball, get a little bit better with some things, but overall, I think a great season. I think this was the best coaching job I've seen Sean McDermott do since his first year here in Buffalo.
Yep.
100%. Best coaching job. And as I call it, Bobby Babbage and Joe Brady, right now Sean McDermott is Master Splinter, and that's his Donatello and Leonardo. That's his turtle. That's his young turtles. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like the Bills, then that's Master Shredder. That's his Rocksteady and Bebop. Whatever you want to call it. Take whichever way you want to take it. But those are his those are his kids right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm very, very confident in this team moving forward. And other than that, man, great season. Came just a tad bit short. But and obviously enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. I know we all want that Super Bowl, but man, it could be worse.
Yeah.
It has been worse. At some point too, it's gonna be bad again. Okay.
That's how it goes.
Just know that it could be 10 years down the line, but at some point, man, it's gonna be bad again. It ain't gonna be good forever. So enjoy this while we have it, and enjoy this front running while we have it as well. But I know I asked if we're gonna do super reaction show. Nope, not gonna do it. Did it before. Not happened. Don't care.
JT, who was Jeffrey's team again?
Titans.
Oh, you said we need Uncle Rico. God, y'all need Uncle Rico. Yeah, Will Levis can't hit one of the side of a boat.
He's telling Bills fans, you could have the Titans issue. So
yeah.
He's like, it could be a lot worse, man. You know what I mean? We could be looking at Jalen Milroe or Shador or Cam Ward or Jason Dart right now trying to change our franchise around.
All I know is what they got now is Will Levis and Mason Rudolph.
Right. And they're talking about drafting Abdul Carter. So we'll see what happens with that, man. We'll see what happens with that. So, like I said, it could be worse. But no, other than that, man, great season. Thank you guys for tuning in all year. This is the final season show of another person just Buffalo show. I want to thank D-Dot for coming all year, break down his office for us.
Appreciate y'all boys.
Great job with that. He'll be back next year for sure, and we'll see if we can bring you different content next year, a little bit different, but we'll see what happens. We do have one more comment from a guy I blocked a couple weeks ago. 13 seconds. I need a massage. You took the wrong exit. You got to head down to Cleveland for that. Just gonna say that while you go there, but a little bit further, man. About 2 more hours to go, and you get all the massages you want up there, man. I got a friend named Deshaun. Go see him. He got some good recommendations for you. We don't do massage. We do chicken wings and bear. I'm like that.
Go see him.
Go see him. So, but other than that, moving on. I got it's such a troll. I know if people try to troll me, man. You can't troll me. I'm with the shits, man. You're a little asshole. You can't troll me, man. Go troll somebody else, man. I'll get right back at you. You ain't got a real name. You ain't got a real name, man. Like, if you're gonna try to troll, at least show your face. You got a picture of Andy Reid, bro. Come on, man. You in your mother's basement. Come on, man. Be sweet that shit. But no, moving on, man. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in all year. We'll be back next year. Next year, I'm gonna try to get a little bit better marketing. We're gonna go over some things, but leave us like too busy or mail. Okay, I don't know nothing about that. Whatever y'all got done in Tennessee, listen. Keep
I don't want to
y'all.
know nothing about that.
I guess if you want massages, you can go down to Tennessee now too. It's a little different massage, but go ahead, have at it.
Yeah.
But no, thank you guys for tuning in all year, man. Like that's really do appreciate it. Like as I keep saying before, you guys are extremely insightful. We've had Broncos fans, we had Titans fans, we've had different fans of different fan bases, and I love it. I think that is applauded on itself, and that we do answer questions about other teams too. So Man, next year we see we get some guests and things like that. But this is like my 8th or 9th year of doing this, and this is probably my funnest year doing it. I would say that. So, but hey, guys, thank you for tuning in and signing off one final time. I think James is frozen.
Yeah,
But,
I think so.
James not
He
trying
hasn't
to leave.
blinked.
He's not.
He
trying
hasn't
to
blinked for like 3 minutes, man.
Yeah, he's not trying to leave. He said, "I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm staying right here, staying on air."
Yeah.
But no, other than that, if we catch you guys later, as always, peace.